In this episode of Kids Podcast, I am honored to share wisdom with you about leading kids in your church and in your home. Dealing with kids is hard work, and I'm praying that we add some tools to your tool belt today. So let's dive into today's topic. In this episode of Kids Podcast, we're answering a big question. And that question is, should I quit? I've been thinking about it for a while. Is it time? Should I quit? I'm Ron Gale, your podcast host for today, and this is Kids Podcast, where we are teaching leaders of kids to lead children into an overflowing life with Jesus. You might be a coach, a parent, a teacher, or even a pastor. This podcast is for you as you lead young people into an overflowing life with Jesus. And if you're thinking about quitting, this episode is for you. Now, to be clear, we're not talking about quitting. We're not talking about taking action steps to quit. This is simply, I've been thinking about it. Is this serious? I've been thinking these thoughts. Are these serious thoughts? I've been having these ideas of quitting. Should I be taking these ideas seriously? And that's what we're going to talk about in this episode. I have another episode somewhere in the past about quitting. There's other avenues that we could cover with this particular topic. This is a big topic. I'm only going to talk about 3 elements to consider through your thoughts. Only 3. And I'm going to use them through a story. So buckle up, we're diving in, and we're going to challenge our thoughts today. All right, so I'm going to use something I love to communicate this episode. It is fishing. That's right, fishing. For those of you that are longtime listeners, those of you that know me well, I love to fish. Fishing's pretty important. And you know, when I tell other pastors that I fish, sometimes they're like, oh, okay, that's cool. I don't know how to fish. Or, oh, okay, what kind of fishing you do? Because I like fishing for bluegill. Oh, that's cool. I don't know how to fish. I take fishing seriously, not only because of my upbringing, but also because I'm a pastor. I firmly believe that fishing has helped me become a better pastor. And the reason I believe that is because Jesus said to go and make fishers of men. That's right, you knew it. Fishers of men. But unfortunately, there are a number of followers of Christ who don't even know how to catch a regular fish, much less a man. And so when I go through my fishing experiences, I learn things about life. And I'm like, oh. And so I want to tell you 3 stories that help me think through this idea of, should I quit? In my first story, I was out fishing, and I had the whole day to me. And typically when I fish, nowadays I fish for a whole day, sometimes half a day. And honestly, when I say half a day, I mean my wife calls and she said, you are going to only be half a day. And then I can remind her that 12 hours is half of a day. So when I go fishing, I fish for either the whole day or the weekend. And I'm out fishing, having fun, doing good, netting them, landing them, catching them. Easy. Numbers are up. I'm hitting personal records, guys. This is the kind of fishing that I want more often. It's not a fishing trip for me on these kinds of days. It's called a catching trip. Catching. And so I'm out there just catching. Can't keep my line out of the water. Catching. And I get a phone call from my wife. Dum, dum, dum. It's not a bad phone call. Not at all. But she needs me to come home. I don't even remember why or what. all that I can recall is that she needed me more than I needed to fish. And so I packed up and left. I quit. Went home. In my second story, I was fishing in Erie, Pennsylvania. I love fishing the tributaries to the Great Lakes. It is one of my favorite forms of fishing. I would say that I enjoy fishing out of the Great Lakes tributaries more than I enjoy fishing for salmon in Alaska. Don't get me wrong, I love my Alaska fishing, but I really enjoy catching steelhead out of the Great Lakes. So while I'm fishing, I step on this rock. The rock moves, slips, doesn't matter, because the next thing I know, I'm in the water. I'm wet. Usually it's not a big deal, because when that happens, you just get out of the water, dump the water out of your waders, wring your clothes out, change your clothes real quick, or just your shirt, and move on and go catch some fish. However, in this particular situation, you're talking, it's December, the water's in its 30s or 40s, and I'm cold. So I start the process of removing the water from my waders, but I cannot just change my clothes because, well, I don't have dry clothes to change into. I wring it out, but hey, they're still wet, and the temperature is in the 40s or 50s, maybe even 30s. It's Pennsylvania weather. You can get all four seasons in one day if you're on a good day. And I did not want to go back to the truck to change my clothes where my extra clothes was. Why? Because the truck was 2 miles away. So I just decided I was going to beast it out. Beast it out. I don't care. I'm catching fish. And I was catching fish. I was having fun. And it was about 3 hours later, I started to experience some weird issues with my body. You know, fingers turning blue, body shivering, can't stay warm, headache, the list goes on. I was getting the preliminary stages of, I think it's pneumonia? No, not pneumonia. The other one where you get cold real fast. I don't know. But I was getting sick real bad. I could feel it. And the problem was my fishing partner was with me, and he found a school and he wanted to keep fishing, and we were about to get on a whole bunch more fish. And after 3 hours of being cold and wet, and I knew that I was in jeopardy of getting really sick. So I had to call it quits, because my safety was in question. I had to call it quits because of my safety. So I quit. In my third story, I'm fishing. I'm actually by myself this time. And I'm not catching. I'm not catching because the fish are being jerks to me. I'm not catching because I don't see any fish. So I move over here, I move over there. Now, if you're in a lake, like a fishing lake, there's fish in there somewhere. You just got to figure it out. If you're in a retention pond, there's no fish even stocked in there. But I'm on a tributary, and fish have to be either somewhere in the system or nowhere here. Like they've left and went into the body of water. I've hiked 1 mile, 2 miles, 3 miles. And I know enough about fishing to collect the data and have a good idea of where fish are. And based on what I know about fishing, and I'm pretty confident in my fishing game, I'm not seeing swirls, I'm not seeing tall tales, I'm not seeing rises, I'm not seeing bubbles, I'm not seeing shadows, I'm not seeing any signs of life. Any. I've tried this lure, I've tried that lure, I've tried this presentation, I've tried that presentation. And usually when I get to the 80%, 90%, I'm pretty sure there's no fish there. What I do is I go and make it 100. I will disturb the hole and look into it and be like, oh, there's nothing here. That was just a rock the whole time. Or I'll get some high ground and look into all the water. Oh, there's no fish here. So sure enough, I walked 2-3 miles and there were 0 fish anywhere in the system I was at. My day was tiring. My day was exhausting. I already hiked 2-3 miles. Now I have to go 2-3 miles back to the truck. I am now calling it quits because there are no fish in the system. So the 3 times I've quit fishing, when I had the allowance, the time, and the privilege to fish all day, 3 times I quit. My wife needed me more than I needed to fish. My health was in jeopardy. And there were no fish in the system. Now, I've been on trips where the fish were there, and I caught maybe 1. But I didn't quit. I kept going. I've been on trips where I've been there like the entire day, and I saw a shadow of 1. But I kept fishing. I've been on trips where I knew they were there and they wouldn't bite. I could see them. There's 10 there. None of them wanted to eat what I had to offer. Frustrating. I've been on fishing trips where I was not catching, but my friends were. Or my friend was catching 100 and I caught 1. I've been on trips where the game warden showed up and was all like, hey, can I see your license? I've been on trips where I've fallen in several times. Got up and just kept fishing. I've been on lots of fishing trips with lots of fun stories. But the 3 times I ever quit fishing, when I could have stayed because I was allowed to, was my wife needing me more, my health was in jeopardy, or I knew that I knew there were no fish in the system. I didn't quit because I was sad by the results, depressed by what others were doing and what I was not, upset at the game warden. I didn't fish because I got skunked. I didn't quit because of any other reason other than my wife needed me more, my health was in jeopardy, or I knew that there were no fish in the system. Now, how much more true is that in real life? We think about quitting our jobs with working with kids. Well, because we're mad at the boss, because we didn't like an idea that was given to us, because the partners we worked with had different outcomes and results than us, because other people in the exact same field are doing better than us, because we didn't like our numbers, because we were feeling sad and depressed and down about something to do with what we're doing, because our practices are not healthy, or our practices are not efficient or effective or consistent. How much more true do we think about quitting for all of those reasons rather than the ones that deserve merit? And yes, I agree with you. You're probably thinking there are several other reasons to think about quitting. Yes, you're not wrong. I'm only covering 3. If you're thinking about your spouse and they need you and you don't quite realize it, but they're telling you, you might need to strongly consider quitting. If you were in a situation where you yourself are in danger, mentally, physically, whatever, your health is in jeopardy, you might need to call it quits. If you're in a location where no matter what you do, where you go, or how you've studied this, There is zero traction. Zero traction. It might be time. This is a big question. I fully understand. And yes, there are lots and lots and lots of other avenues to think about this. And I would encourage you to ask up to someone. Here are 3 to consider. If you want to talk more about this, you can find me. I have an email, and we'll make it happen. But hopefully, this helps you consider the thoughts. I hope you don't quit. I hope you have everything you need. I hope your wife doesn't need you in this very minute. I hope your health is just fine, and I hope that there are fish in the system. Because we need you. These kids need you. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. So we need you. But more than needing you, we need the best version of you, which might mean a healthy version of you, a happy spouse version of you, a version of you that's in the right location. Until next time, everybody say, bye, Pastor Juan. Thank you for listening. Smash those like buttons, turn the bells blue, or whatever the kids are doing these days. At the end of the day, our goal is to raise little people to one day become big people. You can find older archived podcasts on our YouTube channel and support what we do at rongaleministries.com. Enjoy!